Hi, welcome back to Joe Blogs. In this video, I want to talk to you about the financial habits that are keeping you poor, stopping you from getting to the point where you think, actually, I'm doing really well for myself. This is great. And the first of those habits, the very first thing that I'm going to tell you about is not investing. Every time you hear about somebody saying, I've just done really well on the stock market, I invested in this share a year ago or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, and I've made 10 times my money, I've made 100 times my money, don't you always think, I wish I'd done that. I wish I'd put money into that stock, or I wish I'd started investing 10 years ago, but I didn't, and it's too late now. I've missed the boat. It's not going to happen for me. Well, having that attitude, it definitely won't happen for you, because if you don't invest, then you can't get that growth. You can't get to the point where you say, I've just done fantastically well. So not investing is actually keeping you poor, because the spare cash you've got at the end of each month or the end of each week, what are you doing with it? If you're just leaving it in the bank, earning a small amount of credit interest on it, that isn't going to get you rich. That's not going to get you to the point where you think, I'm doing really well. I'm really pleased with myself. So you have to start investing. Now, I've talked about this on other videos. The best place to invest for novice investors, if you want to put your money into something that is likely to grow over the next 5 to 10 to 20 years, then the stock market is the place to be. When you look at the long-term track record of the stock market, it goes up. If you'd have put your money into the stock market at virtually any time in the last 50 years, you would now be sitting on a very large profit. And the way to do it isn't to take a gamble on one day, to hope that the money that you put in is going to go in on the day when the market's at a low point and then it'll just carry on going up forever. The way to do it is to spread your initial investment. So if you had $10,000, for example, you would be better to put that in chunks of $1,000 each over a 10-month period rather than putting in $10,000 today, because it might just be that the moment you put it in, the market starts to go down for the next 3 or 4 months. And that's quite soul destroying. And it also stops people from investing further, because as soon as you put money into anything, if it goes down, you suddenly feel a lot more cautious, a lot more negative about that investment, and you're unlikely to follow your money. But if you put it in on a regular basis, as the market starts to go down, you actually benefit from that, because those stocks become cheaper every single month, and so you're buying more of them, and then when the market does start to rise again, you'll make even more profit. So putting your money in as soon as possible, but spreading the actual initial cost is the way to do it. So not investing is the first financial habit that is keeping you poor. The second habit that is keeping you poor is paying yourself last. And you might be sitting there thinking, paying myself last? What are you talking about? I don't pay myself at all. I've got a job, I earn a salary, so I don't pay myself anything. But paying yourself last is the way of looking at all of your expenses. So when you receive your payments, when you get your monthly salary, do you suddenly then think, okay, I need to work out how much money I've got here. So I've got my initial money, and now I need to pay my rent, I need to pay all my grocery bills, I need to pay my utility bills, I need to pay for the car, I need to pay for gasoline, all of those expenses. You work out everything that you're spending, and then you work out what you've got left. You then might have some nights out, you might have some things you have to spend money on, so you deduct all of that, and suddenly you've got nothing left. You think, actually, I don't have enough money to even make it through to the end of the month. So paying yourself last is looking at your budget in exactly that way, working out how much you've got left over, and then deciding whether or not you've got enough money to be able to save or invest. And for most of us, it's far too easy to think, I don't have enough this month. I'm actually going to need all of the available cash to do all of these things. And so I won't save anything. I won't invest anything this month. I'll do it next month because hopefully I'll have less expenditure. But that never happens, because you never have less expenditure. You can always find something to spend your money on. So what you need to do is change your mentality to pay yourself first. So the first thing on your list when you're looking at your monthly outgoings is your investment. So it might be that you decide that you're going to invest $100 per week into the stock market. So that would be $400 per month, roughly speaking. So over the course of a year, that would be almost $5,000. And this chart shows that if you did save $400 per month over the next 30 years and achieved an annual rate of return of 10%, which is actually less than the compound growth that's been seen by the S&P 500 over the past 30 years, your monthly saving of $400 per month would grow to a total of over $912,000. And I think for most of us, that would be enough to feel that we're doing quite well. So changing your mentality to paying yourself first, actually setting aside that investment amount at the start of every month, making it your number one priority, and then working out what you've got left for everything else, will mean that over the long term, you will become more wealthy, you will feel more comfortable, you'll feel happier. And actually, I think what you'll find is that you'll start to take a lot more interest in your finances. You'll start to look for other ways that you could release a little bit more cash to maybe increase that monthly investment amount, because every dollar that you increase it by will have a huge impact on the final pot. So your current habit of paying yourself last is keeping you poor. You need to change that mentality and start thinking about paying yourself first. The next habit that's keeping you poor is spending. Now, spending is obviously a wide term. What does it mean? What am I talking about when I say spending? I'm talking about things that you do out of choice, things that you decide to spend money on each month. And that could be something as simple as a morning cup of coffee. You may grab a coffee from Starbucks on your way into work every single day, and that coffee might be costing you $5. So over the course of a 5-day week, that's $25. And if you invested that $25 per week, or around $100 per month, in 30 years' time, that could grow to more than $228,000. So that really puts into perspective how much that morning cup of coffee is costing you. But it's not just coffee, it's everything that you're spending money on. It might be clothes, you might be buying a lot of clothes all the time, constantly buying stuff because it makes you feel happy, it gives you that little adrenaline boost. Or it could be that you're spending a lot of money on tech and gadgets. Maybe you're buying all sorts of different Apple products, or just buying lots of different expensive kit. Or it might just be food. You're treating yourself to really expensive food, going out for meals, buying lunches that are really expensive. All of the different things that you're spending money on all add up, and that's what's draining all of your cash and meaning that you're not investing. So the key here, what you really need to do, is start working out exactly what you're spending all your money on, because most people that I talk to don't really know how much they're actually spending every single month on all of the different items. So if you do a budget, if you keep a note on your phone, there's the notes function on most phones these days. Take a note every single time you spend some money. Every time you're tapping your phone to pay for something, take a note of it. And at the end of the day, have a look at how much you spent that day. At the end of the week, have a look how much you spent. And at the end of the month. And I bet that you'll be surprised exactly how much you're spending on lots of things that you're not even thinking about. Maybe it's a snack here, or you're buying a magazine, or who knows what it is. Keep a list of everything you're spending money on, and then work out whether or not you think you're getting good value for all of that expenditure. And if you're not, then you can cut back on it, and that will free up more cash so that you can start investing that money for your long-term benefit. Because what I'm talking about here is really planning for the long term, not just spending money here, there, and everywhere and not realizing what it's going on. Cutting back, doing things that you like doing. So I'm not saying don't have a good time. What I'm saying is make sure you're getting value for every dollar that you're spending. So know what you're spending and be happy that you're doing it. When you're not in control of what you're spending because you're just tapping everywhere you go, then that's how your bank balance suddenly drops down to zero and you don't have any money left for investing. So not budgeting and keeping track of your spending is the next habit that's keeping you poor. The next habit that you really need to investigate is subscriptions, because these days we are building up a huge amount of subscriptions. Every time you go online, you're being presented with a free offer. 3-month free trial to sign up to Apple TV or Netflix or HBO or Disney Plus or HelloFresh or whatever it might be. And you think, well, that's fantastic. It's a free offer. There's nothing to lose. I'll sign up. Everyone's a winner. But of course, the reason that they offer you those deals is because most of us forget to cancel that subscription. So 3 months passes, and then 6 months passes, and then a year passes, and suddenly you wake up one day and realise that you've been subscribed to Apple TV and you don't even have the app on your phone. You've never even looked at it. And that's costing you maybe $10 a month or possibly even more. And when you look across all of these different subscriptions, it could be costing you $50 to $100 per month for all of those different payments. Now, I'm not saying that you have to cut back on all of these different subscriptions. It might be that you're getting really good value from every single one of them. Maybe you're constantly watching Disney and Apple Plus and HBO and Prime and all of the other TV subscriptions. Maybe you're very happy with your HelloFresh subscription. Maybe you're going to the gym 20 times a week, so your gym subscription is really paying dividends. But I would bet there's at least one subscription on your monthly payments that you don't use at all, if not multiple subscriptions. And you really need to have a look at all of those and then decide whether or not you want to keep paying them. And for every single one that you cancel, you should put that money straight into your investment fund. So if you could cut back on 3 subscriptions that saves you $30 per month, then that basically can go straight into an investment. It won't make any difference to your lifestyle because these are things that you're not actually using, and it will be building for your future. So rather than you paying Apple and building up their profits and letting the chief executive take another multi-million-dollar bonus, you can put it into your own investment. You can build your own net worth rather than paying for all of these subscriptions. So continuing to pay for subscriptions that you don't get any value from is another habit that's keeping you poor. The penultimate habit that's keeping you poor is debt. It's far too easy these days to think, I'll just borrow that money. I'd like to do that. I'd like to go to that gig. I'd like to go on holiday. I'd like to buy some new clothes. I'd like to go out for a big night out or go for a fancy meal. I'll just put it on my credit card. I don't have enough money to pay off the credit card at the end of the month, but I'll just pay the interest. It isn't really that much. It's only 1 month's worth of interest. But it is that much. When you look at credit card borrowing, you're paying above 20% on an annualized basis for that debt. That is extremely expensive. And the problem with that sort of mentality is that once you've started it, it becomes a snowball. It's very easy to use credit cards or other forms of easily available credit, whether it's payday loans or Klarna or something like that. It's very easy to click on that button when you're online and say, yes, I'll take the 3-month credit deal. I'll pay some interest. It doesn't really matter. Well, all of that interest that you're paying could be earning you money. Rather than paying out $10 in interest or $50 in interest, you could be using that money to invest it for your own future. So next time that you're thinking about clicking on that button to say, yes, I'll take the 3-month credit deal, don't do it. Decide whether or not you can afford to pay for that thing now. If you can't afford to buy it, then you need to ask, do I really need to make this purchase? Am I doing it for the right reasons? Am I doing it because I want to, I have to? Or am I doing it just to cheer myself up because I'm feeling a bit blue today? I want to do something that makes me happy. I'll go and spend some money online. I'll take it on credit. It doesn't really matter. All of that is keeping you poor. If you can avoid taking on any debt, then that means that any spare cash that you're building up, you can invest it rather than paying interest to all of these finance companies because they don't care about you. They're not here to help your life. What they're doing is trying to make the most profit for themselves. They're trying to earn interest on any money that they give you. And generally speaking, short-term loans are the worst possible option. If you're taking them, then you're paying far too much money for that debt, and you could be using that money to invest into your future. So the next habit that's keeping you poor is taking on debt. Avoid it. If you can't afford to buy it, don't buy it, save up the money and do it later. The final habit that's keeping you poor is not earning enough money. Now, that sounds like an outrageous statement because I'm not saying to you, go and get a better job, earn more money. What I'm saying is there are ways and means of improving your income. And this could be finding ways to earn more income from your current employer. Are you due a pay raise? Could you take on more responsibility? That means that you get paid more. Are there other things that you could do to actually increase your income from your employer? If you're self-employed, then obviously you may be able to find other ways of increasing your self-employment income. But there are lots and lots of side hustles that you can be doing to increase the actual amount that you have at the end of each month. So that might be something as simple as selling things on eBay, things that you no longer use. So it might be old clothes, old gadgets, just things that are lying around your home that you think, actually, I don't need that. I could sell that and maybe get an extra $20 or $50 every single month from doing that. And you could invest that money into the markets. Or it might be by doing some form of side hustle. Maybe you could start up a small business. Maybe you like doing something that you could sell on eBay yourself, actually creating something. Or maybe you could start a YouTube channel like this. That's what I did. I didn't have a history of YouTube before I started this channel. I just decided that I'd give it a go. I'd start making some videos and see if anybody wanted to watch them. And I can tell you that those first videos that I put together were absolutely horrendous in terms of the lighting and the sound and basically everything about it. Just terrible. But it got me on the journey. It started the idea, and that got me to where I am today. So it doesn't have to be YouTube. It could be anything. There are a myriad of different side hustles. Or it might just be something as simple as using cashback sites. So every time you go online, if you're going to buy something, rather than going directly to that retailer and buy it, type something into Google to say, can I earn cashback on this purchase? And you may get taken then to a site where you can build up credit and earn $100 per month from everything that you're buying. There's lots of different side hustles. I'll make a video separately talking about the sort of side hustles that I do, that I'm involved in, that help me earn more money every single month. But earning more money is a really good thing to think about, because if you've got more money, then obviously you might have surplus cash, which you can then invest into the markets. So it seems like an obvious statement, but not earning more money is another habit that's keeping you poor. So the overall summary of today's video is that there are a number of financial habits that you are doing on a regular basis that are keeping you poor. If you're spending money without keeping track of it, then you need to stop that. You need to start budgeting, work out how much you're spending and decide whether or not you're happy with every single dollar of that expenditure. If you're not, then you should be cutting back on it. You certainly shouldn't be using any debt to spend money, because that is just a constant way of keeping you in the red, meaning that you're always swimming against the tide. Stop taking on that debt. If you can't afford to make the purchase, then don't do it unless you absolutely have to. If you don't have any choice, then obviously you'll need to. But if you're doing things out of choice, you're taking on debt voluntarily, you need to stop doing that. You also need to start working out how much you're spending on subscriptions and regular payments, because they're cutting down the amount of cash that you've got left at the end of each month to be able to invest. There are also many ways that you could earn more money to increase the amount of income that you've got coming in so that you can invest more. But the most important takeaway from this video is that the biggest habit that is keeping you poor is not investing. You need to start investing now, and you need to start investing regularly over the next 10 to 20 years, because if you do that, that investment will grow over that period and it will put you into a much better financial position. But you need to start doing it today. If you can cut back on all of the different things we've mentioned in today's video, that's great. Use that cash to invest. Don't just leave it sitting in your checking account or your savings account, because that's not going to get you to financial freedom. Putting it into the markets over the long term and drip feeding it in will help you grow your net worth and will stop you being poor.